Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of my tire machine balancing madness. I've got those 12-inch wheels here. I've already broken the beads and taken the tires off, as you can see. And I was just going to go through the process of giving them a bit of a cleanup, inspecting all the seat surfaces for the lugs, and then making sure that the flange surface here was flat. And then again, just giving a nice cleanup. So I'm going to go ahead and give these wheels a clean, and then we'll go ahead and take care of any issues they might have before I take them and go through the wheel matching process. As I mentioned in the previous video, the tire machine has a wheel matching process where you spin the wheel and then you find the heaviest or most out of balance position on the wheel. You would then mark that position. Typically the valve stem is the heaviest spot because it's an extra piece of material. But I'll just go through the matching process on each one of these wheels and find out exactly which wire and how much. And once I've done that with the wheel, you put the tire on, you spin it up with the tire. It then measures the tire position that's most out of balance. And it gives you a suggestion as to where to rotate the tire to try to mitigate any offset or imbalance in the wheel, to try to create a more even distribution of the mass and reduce the overall weight that you have to add to it in order to create a balanced wheel and tire combination. So let's get started. By the way, I thought this was a complete set of wheels, all matching. These are all manufactured in different years, and they have slightly different finishes. And unfortunately, this wheel here is a respray, so I'm going to make this one the spare wheel. Also wanted to point out, you can see, once again, tire machine marks on the inside of this rim by, sloppy tire shops. So this is yet another reason why I don't want to go there ever again. So I've given this wheel a clean. Various brushes and solvents later, I managed to get all the road grit off of the front edge here, cleaned up the seal surfaces for the wheels, and I managed to get most of the grit out of the back. Not all of it, but a good portion of it. One thing I did manage to do is come in here with a flat surface and clean up the back side of this hub, because this is what indexes the wheel against the tire machine, and I don't want any grit or burrs interfering with the location of this wheel against the machine. But yeah, other than that, this came out all right. There's quite a bit of like paint overspray or something on this wheel. The other wheels have the same problem. This one, you can see it's got the same level of grit, but this is more of like a paint. I mean, I can flake this off with my fingernail, but yeah, it's just a lot of stuff on here. So I'll go ahead and get the rest of these wheels cleaned up, and next time you see it, it'll be ready to go onto the tire machine. And just like that, they're all nice and clean. This took the better part of a day to get all these wheels cleaned up. You'll notice all the tire residue is off of the rim, and the interior is cleaned up. I only focused really on the mating surface of where the wheel weights are going to go. I didn't really care about inside these little divots. I did resurface this face a little bit just to make sure it was flat. And all these wheels are in various states of decay. This one is quite bad in terms of the corrosion, as you can see on the inside here. But it's still usable, so I will go ahead and keep using it. Annoyingly, this wheel here has actually been sprayed with a rattle can of some sort of other silver spray paint, so this wheel will be used as the spare because it doesn't match the other four. Still a decent wheel, it's fairly rough. The outer edge has been curved quite badly, and like I said, it's just the wrong color. So I'll go ahead and take these wheels out to the wheel balancer, and we'll begin the wheel and tire matching program. I'm really curious to see where the heaviest spots are on these wheels. I'm assuming it's going to be the valve stem, but I don't know for sure. So we'll learn together. So I'm out here in the garage. I'm going to start with the spare wheel. And I've got just a good used tire here. This one. I'm going to put on it using the matching program. But I wanted to point out that I've got my finger plate and my, balancing lock nut, the wing nut that holds it in place here on the spindle first. And I fitted this because I wanted to go through the calibration process for this assembly. I noticed this machine is very sensitive to the adapters you fit after the wing nut. So I'll go ahead and calibrate it for this setup, and then I'm going to go into the matching program. Just in case you're wondering how to do the calibration process on one of these Beissbarth or Microtech MT 510 machines. Turn it on, and then press and hold this for a few seconds until this says C0. C0. Then drop the hood and go ahead and fire up the machine. It'll reset this display, and then it'll say balanced, and then you know it's finished. And there we go. It's now calibrated the attachment flange. So go ahead and stop it. And at this point, it's now calibrated and ready to start doing the matching process, or any balancing process really. But that's just how you calibrate the flange. So how do we get the machine set up to go into the matching program? Well, I'm going to follow the instructions in the manual, but it tells me to press and hold the P button here. This is the button that switches between the inner and outer planes on your weight measurements, but it says hold this while turning on the machine on at the main switch. And it says that this should go and say 1. So the machine is now ready to do the matching program. So now that we got the machine in calibration and have it set up in the matching program, the next phase of this is to get the wheel attached to the flange, which is easy enough with these quick release wing nut mechanisms. And there we go. Just need to tighten it up. Like that. And we should be able to start the procedure. So now the instructions have told me to rotate the wheel until the valve stem is directly underneath the balancer axis here. So we'll just get that set up like that. We'll then go on to the next step. And it wants me to close the lid and start the machine until we get the next step here, which will be displayed as P3. So I've gone ahead and pressed the OK button to get this into the next step, P2, once I've got this lid closed, and it says to go ahead and start it. Now we need to wait until it says P3. There we go. So now the next step is to fit the tire to the rim. So, tire is mounted. I think this might have been the original balance mark, the yellow dot. I purposely didn't put it near the valve just in case this tire does move over here. It'll kind of confirm one of my suspicions about tire balance dots. But anyway, I've aired it up, 32 pounds roughly. Before I took this wheel off of the balance machine, I did make a subtle mark on here to realign it with the flange over there. So let me get it set up back on the machine and go to the next step. Wheel is now back on the machine. Valve stem is pointing down. So we can now go on to the fourth step of the matching program. And this is the step where the machine figures out the spot on the wheel that you want to align to the spot on the rim. So the next step is to go from step 3 to step 4 on the machine. And you go OK. And now it's P4. So now we can go ahead and spin up the wheel and let the machine tell us where we need to rotate the tire to counterbalance the weight of the rim. So I've mounted the tire to the rim, but I haven't positioned it yet. So I've spun it and it says P5. Now when I rotate this, the green bars will light up indicating this position to be marked on the wheel. And this position will then be rotated to meet up with the valve stem. So what I've just done is I've spun the machine and it has said that this spot here needs to be moved to line up with the valve stem. And that'll give me the least amount of weight required to balance this wheel. So I went ahead and broke the bead, moved the tire, lined up my mark with the valve stem. So now we'll see what kind of weight measurements we get now that we've completed the matching process on the tire and the rim. Spinning it up, we'll see what the balance says now. 0. So I've got the machine set to do weights on the inner plane as well as the central plane here. And according to this wheel doesn't need any more weight. So I'm glad we went through the balancing procedure, matching procedure, excuse me, because I don't have to put any weight in this wheel. According to this, in these weighted positions, it doesn't want any weight. Now, if we were to do, say, just a static, it actually says it wants 0.63. And if we go to any of the other configurations, let's see. If we want purely inner and outer planes of weights, 0 on the outer plane here. And it wants 3/4 of an ounce on this inner plane here. So it does say that it could use weight depending on where you put it, but in this specific configuration, it shows 0. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it alone. I'll put them on the car and give them a test at some point, but this wheel at least doesn't need any more weight. So now I've done this whole set, and 2 of these wheels, I believe this one and this one, did not need any weight to balance them. They were in balance once I did the tire rotation process. So definitely think this was worth doing. It took a little bit longer, obviously, because I had to break the bead and rotate the tire every single time, so I had to do that 5 times. But in the end, like I said, these 2 had no weights, and I think this one had about ½ ounce, and this one I think was a 3/4 ounce or something. So pretty minimal amount of weight, but overall I feel very confident in the balance on these wheels. So I am looking forward to driving around on the road and seeing what these feel like on the either the Elf or my red car, either one. So I'll let you guys know how it goes. Road test of newly balanced wheels. Oh yeah, these feel like glass. Lovely. So smooth. Wow. The tire machine did an excellent job on these wheels. Hope you guys thought this might be interesting or helpful. If you did, let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.